have Giovanni whacking into my ceiling to see what's happening up there, to see how far the brick is. And this is Adriana, see? Adriana? Hi. So, yeah, well, it's a big job, but we got Giovanni worked so fast, I thought he was going to chip off more, but there's definitely brick under there. So we're gonna take this ceiling down in the kitchen and the hallway and the bathroom and the living room, maybe the bedroom too, when I get back, and then fix all the cracks and any other problems in the plaster. You know, that's got to come down anyway. So wherever there's cracks, we'll repair it. It's old, doesn't bother me whatsoever. We're just gonna make it gorgeous, fun. Look at this. It's a little park. I've never seen it before because it's underneath the wall. I was bringing Sandro, the electrician, a bottle of wine, and I came by and look at the view from this park. Oh my goodness. I mean, really, it's like the best view in the world. It's an elevated on the wall, and you can see Guadalajara right here. Look at this view. It's amazing. What a beautiful spot. Holy man. I've never been up here. It's really kind of hazy today, so you can't see the other mountains. But it's almost like 360-degree views. Wow. ABRUZZO. It's like a miracle or something. There's my little flat over there. See the little orange one in the left-hand corner? Mine's right by that tree. But this, whew, astounding. Hi everybody, it's so nice of you guys to be here. I must confess, I love your comments. I can't get enough of your comments. I try and read every single one, as many as I can, and you're so encouraging, it just blows my mind. And the last Q&A, I didn't have my list. And I wanted to just preface this video with my appreciation. Your comments, your dreams, the imagination, your chaos, everything that you share with me, your stories, your experiences. Some of you have been to Italy many times. Some of you dream of coming. Some of you are living here now and aren't too far away, or live in Sicily or near Napoli or up north. It's just been tremendous how many wonderful comments y'all have given me about my channel, and thanks for being so supportive. We're going to go on a little adventure tomorrow. We're going to go to the town of Ortona and a special surprise. So as we travel throughout the day, because hopefully the weather's going to be nice, I'll stop in various places and I'll answer some more questions. I just wanted, first of all, for you guys to know from the bottom of my heart how much y'all meant to me. And, you know, there's just a lot of questions throughout the last 3 weeks or so that y'all have been asking me, or throughout the last couple of years, that I want to answer. So I'm going to do that in increments. Well, here I am. I know I look out of order because I listened to the little increments of questions I answered, and I think when I went to go answer one section, I didn't press record, so got my hair up, getting ready for bed, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try and remember what question I was answering in that little increment. I believe it was why I did not move and get my residency in Italy. And why am I going to Portugal instead? And the long and the short of it is I've been coming to Europe for many years. I bought this little apartment with the intention of moving to a town that was less than 20,000 people in a region where the tax was 7%, because Portugal changed their tax discount NHR, which was 10% for 10 years, before I was able to buy land and start my residency. So I was investigating Italy, and come to find out that you have to create quite a bit of passive income with the visa that I was going to do in Italy. And even with the 7% tax after the 10 years, the taxes ended up being more. It was very complicated. Also, you have to get your driver's license in a year in Italy, and you have to take the test in Italian. From what I understand, they're getting ready to change that. So I've been to Portugal. I like Portugal. My goal is the EU, so I know myself well enough to know that even if I came to Italy, I'm not going to sit in an apartment. I'm going to travel. So why not spend half the year in another country? And the visa in Portugal, for me personally, with my passive income, it was easier, because you have to have, so much money in the bank. You have to, in a Portuguese bank account, you have to have so much passive income. And in Italy, it was like twice as much plus. It was a lot more. And I don't need as much as what you need to qualify in Italy to be able to live. I don't need to create that much passive income. So I would have had to create annuities and do different things. And I was losing lots of money because an annuity, you only get paid back certain little bits of interest if you know about annuities. And, you're borrowing on your own money, and you're losing a lot of interest. I wasn't willing to do that to move to Italy because I wanted to be able to be in a couple different countries anyway. It's the EU that I want, to be able to travel freely within the EU. And I believe that I was talking about, when I didn't record the answering of the question, is if you are not a resident of the EU, the Schengen region, I was only able to stay in Italy 3 months or Portugal 3 months. Then I have to leave the EU, the Schengen region, for 3 months and go someplace like Montenegro or Morocco or go back to the US. Then I could come back for another 3 months. But I can only stay in the Schengen region and the EU region for 6 months out of the entire year. That's a lot of bouncing around. And at this juncture in my life, I've been leaving for the winters for 30 years, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And then also, in order to get your residency, you have to rent a place for a year. And in Italy, to find a registered place that qualifies for your residency, it was about €1,000 to €1,500 a month. To me, that's €18,000. So, and I think I said that in the following video, but I'm a person that has rentals. I didn't want to pay €18,000 to rent something when I could buy something, and I'll tell you how much the house is at the end of the video. So I believe that's what I was talking about, because people ask me, why didn't you just get your residency in Italy? Why are you getting your residency in Portugal? And why, you know, why not Italy? So that's basically why, is because I know myself and I want to travel, so it really doesn't matter. Because the bottom line is getting my EU residency so I can stay in the EU for the whole year and not have to bounce around and go 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. So I didn't want to do that anymore. And that's the long and short of it. And I hope, and hopefully it'll tie into the next video. And my hair is down in the next video, so sorry about that. I just realized that I think I just did not press record. Why Portugal? It's a lot simpler process. My D7 for passive income is a lot simpler. It's a lot less income. That means you're creating a lot less passive income, and then you're taxed on a lot less passive income because I have to pay taxes in the US and then I have to pay taxes in Portugal. I don't exactly know all the details about when I can come to Italy, how long I can stay. I believe as long as I stay under 6 months and I'm in Portugal over 6 months, I'm good. But I don't know at what point yet. It doesn't matter. It'll happen. So that's basically the long and the short of why I am doing both countries and why I didn't come to Italy. But I did buy the apartment because I wanted a place to come to that was my own, that I could work on incrementally and over time at my own convenience, and have a place to stay, because you know what it's like to go on holiday and you're always bouncing between B&Bs or hotels or rentals or short-term rentals, and it's never your own. And so I decided at this juncture in my life I wanted my own place. Another really big question is, how did you decide where to go? And how did you decide what kind of property or the region or this country or, you know, all those things? And, whew, you know, I have several of you who said, can you send me your realtor's address or phone number so they can help me find a property? Well, here's my suggestion. That's a really tough one. Because unless you have traveled Italy extensively, 30 minutes from here is like a completely different place. 5 minutes from here in Abruzzo is a completely different place. So each region is so unique. I recommend making a list. What do you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy hiking? Do you like to be on the beach? Do you want to be in the city like Rome or Florence? Do you want to be in the north? Do you want to be in the south? Do you want to be in a village? Do you want to be in a city? Do you want to be, you know, I mean, the parameters are just enormous. And because I've been traveling for over 30 years, and I also traveled extensively in the United States. I've lived in 11 different states, and I've, you know, packed up and started over more times than I could ever explain or tell you, or I don't even know how many places I lived in or how many businesses I had, or I just don't remember. It's been exciting though, and when I have a passion for a project, I see it through, and then I move on to the next one. So it's really a very, very personal decision to make when you're deciding to move anywhere, whether it's in your own country or Italy or Portugal. They're very unique countries. Europe is just spectacular, but making a recon trip and having your very detailed list, you know, are you going to work? Do you have a job online? Are you going to work from your home base? You know, are you going to think about looking for work? Because that's a very challenging thing if you don't have a job, unless you bring it with you. You know, self-employed, or a company that hires you from whatever country you're in and relocates you, you know, like an embassy or something like that. There's just so many things. Do you want to drive? Do you want to own a car? You'll have to have a garage, perhaps. You know, do you care about parking? Do you want to take public transportation and maybe not drive at all? That's kind of a wonderful option in Europe. Unlike the United States, we don't have those options unless we live in the city. It's more than finding a real estate agent. It's about soul searching, prioritizing, figuring out what your realities are versus your dreams. They can be one and the same, but they can also interchange. They can intersect and go different directions because sometimes the dream is not the reality. I've crossed that bridge many, many years ago. People say, aren't you lonely that you're alone and you don't have anybody doing this with you? Absolutely not. You know, there was a time where I felt quite lonely, leaving for the winter and being in a foreign country where people do not speak your language. The culture is different. You don't have the socialization. Even here it's challenging, even with the lovely people that have come to my aid every 5 minutes. They're just amazing. But they don't speak English, and I do not speak Italian. Not in a conversational way. You have to kind of get through that. So if you're a person that feels they're trapped, unhappy, you're running, you want to get away, this is not going to work for you. Not at all. Because if you feel that way in your own home country, in your own house, in your own town, with your own family, in your own life, if you move abroad, you are going to be so depressed that you will be sorry that you even tried. My suggestion is if you haven't traveled extensively and you're dreaming about moving to another country, I would say go for 3 months. I would rent a place, I would go for 3 months. Because if you go for a few weeks, 2-3 weeks, that's like still vacation. The reality of I'm living here will not hit you because you're in that constant motion of experiencing and exploring and everything's exciting. You know, after that dies down, and it does, you are left with yourself alone. And if you are not happy, you are going to be so sorry that you made the move or bought a place or, you know, didn't spend time there first. And that is why I say make the list, a very, very, very extensive list, and make trips. And if you're seriously wanting to move, I would find the place that you want to go and I would rent for a minimum of 3 months. You know, you really have to feel at home. And sometimes it happens like it did with me, and sometimes it happens like it did in Portugal and it didn't work out at all. So I had to go with the flow and I had to pick up the pieces and I had to regroup, and you have to keep going because nobody's going to fix it. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to be there and, you know, make decisions for you unless you have a partner that you're kind of planning this with. It's very big, and it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for people that are lonely. I would say if you're feeling sad and lonely and you feel like you need to escape and you're depressed and you need, you know, you're thinking of moving abroad, I wouldn't do it. I would get a therapist, seriously, or good friends, and I would just make my list and I would write and I would write and I would write until you can't write anymore. And I would do that until you're for sure. And then I would start doing trips and I would stay for long periods of time. That's the list, and that's the decision-making process that I did over many, many years to land where I am now. And as we talk about lists and prioritizing and choices, that brings me to the financial aspect of this process. It gets to be very expensive. You have to have planned for it. You need to be able to have the passive income, or if you are a digital nomad, it's even more income. You have to prove that you have enough income. You have to have, in Portugal, I can't say for Italy because I did not go through the residency process, but in Portugal you have to have 1 to 2 years of Portuguese income in your bank account. You have to have a bank account, and you have to show your passive income over several months. But then that's just the beginning. There's background checks, FBI background checks. There are, you have to go to the consulate. Depending on where your consulate is, you're going to have to travel and stay there and go for your appointment. Then you have to, get your permission, and then you come to the country for me, it will be Portugal. And then the process continues on. And then I'm paying somebody to help me do the residency process, and that costs. And every time you talk to an accountant, that costs. And every time you talk to a lawyer, and that costs. And then if you're going to rent something, you're going to have to rent something for an entire year, and you have to have that rental before you walk into that consulate's office. So that means you may have a rental for 4 to 6 months before you even arrive, in my case, Portugal. So you've just spent 6 months of rent on a place that you're not even in. So you're going to have money in the bank. You're going to have, in your Portuguese bank account, you need to have a certain amount of income. And this goes for Italy as well. And I would suggest, if you are looking for someone to speak to about Italy, call Nick Meta. He has a large office. He's not cheap, but within 30 minutes, he can answer all of your questions, and then you can know whether or not you qualify. I've spoken to relocation people, and I've talked to Nick a couple times, and I've watched for years, residency YouTube channels and read books and, about Italy and Portugal, because I was weighing out what to do. So as you're spending all this money, you got to make sure that you sell your properties before you apply for residency, because when you come to another country, if you sell it after, you have to pay capital gains in that country. And if you are not living in your property, say in the US, I can only talk about the US, not other countries. If it's not your primary residence, if it's another property you're selling, you have to pay capital gains in the US and then capital gains in that other country. So my suggestion is to sell your property before you apply for any residency. And like I said, I can't really speak about the details about the Italian residency process. I only know them generally because when I decided to go to Portugal, I am familiar with that, and you guys probably don't really want to know about Portuguese residency requirements. So I would say call me Nick Meta. There's other people out there as well. I only know Nick because I got him from a friend of mine who has lived here, and she referred me to Nick and his office, and he's got accountants, and Nick knows all the details about your income. So, you have to worry about your taxes. You have to pay taxes and do taxes in both countries now. So you have to find an international tax accountant. So, it starts adding up. And then you're paying, if you buy a place like I did, I got a very small place intentionally, which may eventually be a rental. That's why I wasn't really worried. I just know that I didn't want to give somebody 18,000 euro for rent. I didn't. That's just my personal opinion. I know people that will retire and then rent. They won't buy a place. And that's a lot easier, trust me. And at some point we're going to talk about what to look for when you're looking at a property as well, because I've learned a lot over the years, and even from buying this little place, but that'll come maybe in another video. So Nick can help you. There's other people that can help you, but then, you see how it's starting to add up. And then if you buy a place, then you have to pay for the property, then you have to pay the property tax, and you have to pay your water and electric and your gas, and the closing costs, and the notary fees. My place here cost me, I think it was $7,000. I think it was like 60 some hundred euros for my closing on this very small place. So, you got to pay attention to all the small details, because that's really adding up. And then if you have a life in another country, then you've got a car, you have a house, you have bills, you have taxes, you have insurance, all those things you're going to have to do over here too. So that, I would suggest, goes on your very long list of things that you're writing down to decide whether or not you really want to make this move, because it is expensive. I've been working at it for 30 years, and this is something that I have planned for. This was not a last minute decision. I've said that before. Deciding where took this long, deciding what country and where within the country, even Portugal. Even though I haven't been going to Portugal as long as I have been coming to Europe and Italy, I knew what I wanted. But even still, when I arrived there, I had bought land with a river and olive trees and a ruin
close to a village, near a city, and it just didn't work out at all. So, you know, you just got to you got to roll with the punches, people, I'm telling you, because this is not a for sure kind of game. This is not the Italian dream. It's not the Portugal dream. It's not the, oh, we're going to retire and just chill. And no, it's like a lot of work every single day. I'm telling you, I was exhausted when I left 5 weeks in Portugal to come over here, and I've been here a month now. Every single day, I am working with somebody. Every single day, I'm meeting with somebody. Every single day, I'm making a list. Every single day, I go look at something else. I go do this, go do that. Because I'm here only for 5 weeks this time. And that leads me to the next question to answer. And the last question I'm going to answer while I'm in front of my lovely little fireplace. The house has really come together, and I am going to do a tour after this Q&A. Because I am leaving this weekend. I'm headed back to the US. Why am I only here a month? I think I answered that question, but because I wasn't really prepared, I want to answer it again for those of you who asked me afterwards. I'm still in the process of selling property in upstate New York. I have an offer on my apartment building that I renovated and turned into several apartments. And we're closing on July 15th, and then I'm going to move into another small property that I built. I have videos of all that if you guys want to go back and look at that. I turned a garage into a house on a 5-acre piece of land outside of Corning, New York. So I'm moving from the big renovation, which is like 4,000 square feet, 1800s renovation, a derelict house that was going to be knocked down, falling apart. And there's some of that on some of my videos. And then last year in August, I bought another place because with the anticipation of selling one, moving into the little garage conversion, I call it. And I was just going to come back and forth. I was going to kind of spend, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months kind of thing. But I decided I just want to sell everything and just be in the 2 countries and not go back to the US if I don't have to. So why am I here? That's the question. Why are you only here for a month? Why were you only in Portugal for a month? Because I have to go back and I have to sell my property and I have to take care of everything and sell things and get ready to go to apply for my residency. I had to come to physically sign the papers for my land in Portugal. I couldn't do it like I did this house. I was able to do this through my realtor in Italy. You don't have to be here and you don't have to be a resident to buy property in Italy. So I decided to come for about 4.5, 5 weeks in each place because I have to get back and deal with my life in mid-May. I have renters that need air conditioners put in the windows, and because we really only need air conditioning for 3 months in New York, and so I have to do that. One's moving out. I'm selling the place, so I couldn't stay for very long. So I got like a couple months, a little bit more than a couple months, because I wanted to go ahead and see what I had to get, see what I could buy, see what it was like, kind of like a recon trip, set up my life. So when I go back, okay, well, what do I want to do in Portugal? Okay, this is this. What do I want to do in Italy? What can I find? Look at all the great flea markets here. Not so much in Portugal. Not where I was anyway. So what do I want to bring with me? What do I want to sell? What's my life going to be like here? What's my life going to be like in Portugal? So this was a very intensive, short, crazy time. And sometimes I wonder, it was really exhausting. And you'd like to go home to rest. But as the bells ring, just 2 times, I love it. I love being away. I love traveling. I never think of home when I'm gone. And I look forward to selling everything and not having to go back. I don't want to go back, but I have to go back. So I'm going to close on my property when I leave here in the middle of July, move into the other one, put the other one up for sale. In the process, I'll be selling all my belongings, tying up loose ends, and doing all those things that I have to do to be here. I haven't figured them all out yet, and that'll probably be another video. Like, where does your mail go? How do you communicate? Another thing I had to pay I had to deal with my lawyer in Portugal, and it was an off-grid piece of property. And here, I had to deal with my water, electric, garbage, all those things, and get my connections. So I had emails to be able to pay these bills while I'm gone, because I'm not sure when I'm coming back to Italy. Until everything sells in the US, I can't begin my residency in Portugal, and I'm not sure when Portugal is going to let me come back over here. So I don't know when I'm going to be coming back to my cute little apartment. So I'm going to be closing it up here in the next couple days.
I am really glad that I came here. I'm on my way to Ortona. The vineyards are everywhere. The mountains in the distance, the hills, the houses, and the sea is right in front of us. What a beautiful area. It's only a matter of time till this place explodes. The real estate prices are still pretty low. I'm gonna see if I can track down a few of the listings I saw, just out of curiosity. But we're going to go to a winery that has had 24-hour casks of flowing wine for free. What do you think about that? So with my time restraints, I don't have time to go hang out at vineyards and do wine tastings and things like that. That will come with time. This time we're just going for a little drive. I have to be back for the plumber at 3:30, and it took me way longer to get here than I thought because of the little teeny weeny winding crazy mountain roads. So let's see what we could find. Okay, I can't pretend to tell you I know where I am, but I'm down at the port, and there's a big seawall, and there's a huge lighthouse here. And then right up here is the city of Ortona with a castle. So I need to get up there, but I need to find the sea that you can actually get to. I'm in this little church off the square in Ortona, and the painted tiles are gorgeous, but the mosaics of the two popes are just extraordinary. These are mosaics. Hi, I'm in this gorgeous little church in Ortona, and I wanted to just answer a few questions. I've got St. Francis behind me, which is fabulous. Why don't I have a microphone? Because I haven't had time to set it up, that's why. Yes, and I know there's all kinds of translator. I've been using Google Translate on my phone. It works fabulously. I know there are earbuds for translation. I know that there's headsets and glasses with cameras in them. But understand that I'm busy all day long, and technology is not my strong point. So to find someone to hook them up, I do have a few microphones. I did buy them, clip-on microphones, but I haven't had time to download the app and figure out how they work and turn them on when I'm recording, because I'm in motion all the time. Well, honestly, I think I was supposed to go down that little teeny road, but I'm not going to. Just enjoy the view, and we'll go down along that road somehow. We'll get down there, figure it out. But I'm not going down this road because this just goes out to a point that goes out into the ocean. It's very windy today and kind of rainy, so go pass. Yep, I took the road that says beach, so I'm assuming that this is going to take me down to the beach, or is this just taking us back to the town we came from? It's the same road I think we were on. There's a Travacci, but getting down there today, it's so stormy. Adriatic looks pretty imposing when it's windy and stormy. I don't want to go down a road that I can't get back up because they look awfully steep. Okay, today. I can't make the turns when it says to turn because they're so sharp. You can't get to them unless they're right in front of you. Oh, for goodness sakes. For goodness sakes. I need to come back and do a little exploring at my leisure. I think I might just rent a place over here in the fall or the winter for a couple months while Giovanni does work at my house. Well, I know it's very windy, but I just wanted to let you know, do you see this pathway? I was up there on that land that was jetting out, and I decided I didn't want to go down that hill. This isn't a road, it's a walking path. I wonder how many miles it goes. It's fantastic. It goes all along the beach. Sorry about the wind. Look at this. Beautiful. Everything's closed though, of course. Beautiful. Jonah. Beach kitty. Hi. What you doing? Hi, got my hands full. Sorry, come here. Come here. The beach kitty. Hi. What you doing? I'm gonna lay down on the pathway so I can pet you. Hi. None of the cats that live near me let me pet them. Oh. Salad, and then I'm gonna have the lasagna. Hopefully it'll clear up in the drive back to San Martino. It won't be too heroic. This is my idea of heaven. Cooler temperatures, near the beach, and the hills. You can rent bicycles and ride that really long path. I need to see how long that path is. It goes forever. This is probably so busy in the summer, it's probably just tragic, but the owner of the restaurant here has a rental that he would rent me for a couple months, and I might consider that when Giovanni's taking down my ceiling, because I can't live in that tiny flat when he's doing the work. Ciao from San Vito. The wind and the rain kind of stopped for a little bit, and I'm headed back to San Martino. Did I ever answer why I named my YouTube channel or my book My Italian Therapy? It's because when you come to Italy, it just feels so therapeutic. You really shouldn't have to expand any more than that. And that's a Trabaci. That is where they used to fish from these piers, and now they've turned them into restaurants. I had the most delicious lunch here, and now I'm headed back to meet the plumber. So I figured I would answer that question for you. GPS brings you through. Grapevines, olive groves, grapevines, crazy roads. Crazy roads. GPS is crazy. But there are just more wineries here than any place I've ever seen. These humongous properties. It's amazing. Amazing. Vineyards everywhere. But the GPS brings you on the tiniest roads ever. I'm sure there's better ways to go, but this is pretty cool. I have to be back to the house in an hour to meet with Maurizio, the plumber, to show me how to shut off my... People drive 100 miles an hour on these one-lane roads. He's going to show me how to shut off my hot water heater and turn the heat part down. The vineyards, holy cow, they go on forever. Well, let's see if we can answer a couple more questions. That was really a fun day today by the beach with the Trabaci. Wow, love that area. And since we were by the beach, I thought how appropriate to go ahead and sit in front of my favorite painting that I found at the flea market. Let's see, one of the questions I've seen is, those Italian houses are such money pits. You're going to spend more money on that little house fixing things. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, it can be true, and it can be controlled if you're very careful. And I did buy this little apartment sight unseen, but I saw the ceilings. I knew the state of the ceilings. And the ceilings have a small arch to them. And if I remember, I'll pop a little picture. I had Giovanni, who lives around here. He knocked out some of the ceiling in the kitchen in the corner there. And there's brick up there. But I do also have a few leaks in the roof, which need to be dealt with. The owner of the 2 floors underneath me, his mom lives next door. And they really haven't done anything in 10 years since the person passed away who lived in this apartment. So he's going to go ahead and repair it because he is a contractor. So we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, we have buckets upstairs, which is completely fine because I think it's been leaking since the beginning of time, and there's no mold. Everything is plaster, and it's appropriate for the moisture in the area, and it hasn't caused any issues in the building. So it's going to be dealt with. Everything else that I'm doing is not necessarily necessary. It's by choice. I had the plumber come in because there was no cold water coming out of the spigot, and I think that was just a washer issue. I had the hot water heater upstairs replaced before I got here. That cost about €600 for the water heater and the labor. And I didn't know if the water heater worked or not, but it was very old, and I wasn't going to show up here and not have hot water. So I just had my realtor call a plumber and replace it. And then the outlets. There were 2 outlets that were burnt out, and Sandro came and replaced them. I don't know why they burnt out. This electric is who knows how old it is. It's really not bad. It's just sometimes that happens. I don't know if the outlets were burnt out or there was just a short or they put something in there that was too powerful, which is possible. And then he replaced the one plug that was behind the refrigerator to give me another one for an extension cord to charge my computer and stuff. So it's really not a money pit. It's only a money pit if you're trying to make it like the US. You just need to go with the flow. You don't plug in 15 things. You don't have to worry about like so much water pressure that you're going to have 15-minute showers and the like. So really, and I'm dealing with the ceilings because I want the brick exposed. So that's my choice. Well, most of this stuff is my choice. People have been living this way in Italy for hundreds of years, and I just am adapting. I'm not interested in living in a place that's like the US. That's why I moved here. I like it here. And I like the fact that I need to be conservative. That's a really, really good thing, and it's very humbling. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention.
I do old home restoration in the States. I've been doing rentals and renovations and building for almost 30 years. I am not a contractor, you know, like, but I hire people, and I had rentals for so long that little by little over the years, I started doing my own stuff like caulking or repairs or spackling or cement work. And I don't really do electrical and plumbing, and I'm in Italy, so I'm not going to do the things. Obviously, I'm not going to do plaster work. You know, there's people who do that here. Plumbing and electric, same thing. I'm not going to mess with that here. But, you know, I will do some of the work here. Instead of paying somebody, I'm going to restore those doors. I need to find out. Oh, by the way, there was a broken single pane. These two doors and two windows are single pane. One of the windows in the front was broken in the kitchen. It was single pane glass. So what I did is I bought a piece of plexiglass and I set it in there, and it'll suffice till now because I need to get quotes from people. I need to get a carpenter or a window person to look at my doors and see if they can cut out an area so I could put double pane glass inside these windows and doors and see what the cost is, because then I would be renovating the wood on the shutters and the doors and windows and putting in double pane, or I'll replace them all together. So I need to see what the cost is. And also, in order to even take out the single pane and put single pane back, I have to have a carpenter to cut out the side and the bottom to remove the glass, because there's no little piece of molding like there is in the States on some old original windows that you can pull off. You have to actually cut. And then there's a couple pieces in the windows and doors that I want replaced that are rotted, because these are original windows. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing yet. But for now, the area of the broken pane is repaired temporarily till I return. So money pit. That is really a choice. Nothing really has to be a money pit. I knew this wasn't going to be a money pit. It's too small to be a money pit, and it's too structurally sound to be a money pit. There's just some adjusting that needs to be done. Like I said, like the plugs and the, you know, I'll probably put a pressure tank and a holding tank for the water, so I have more pressure. I'm not sure if I'm going to really change much. I might just put a stove in the kitchen and leave everything else. And then in the bathroom, I just might leave it and then just repair the plaster. So money pit is a relative term. Everybody has their own opinions. And as far as I'm concerned, since I did renovation in the States for over 30 years and construction and a lot of the stuff, and not so much electric and plumbing, but I'm not really going to do a lot here. It's really not necessary. So it's really a relatively inexpensive fix for me. Since I got here, it was a little bit of a transition. I don't have a stove and an oven yet, so I bought a toaster oven at the flea market, which I never used, and I bought a hot plate at the China shop, that's exactly what it's called. It's called Chinamax. And initially, at the beginning, I thought that Sandro said that I can't use both burners at the same time. I can use both burners at the same time. I just can't use the toaster oven and the burners at the same time. It's been working fabulously. And like I've said, I'm a pretty conservative person. I don't really have very high expectations of, you know, having all newfangled appliances and things. This property was, like I said previous, it was so I didn't have to pay rent when I was going to initially do my residency in Italy, which I'm not now, but I'm going to come here just to spend half the year. And eventually it might be a rental. I don't know. So I'm not going to put hordes of money into it. It's just going to be a flat, you know, lock up and leave kind of thing until I figure out, you know, it's just a place. I wanted a home base so I could travel and figure out where I'd really like to be. I really don't know that yet. I have a lot of my own questions, a lot. So let's see. I mentioned that I gave the IKEA guys €10 because it took them like 10-15 minutes to bring that cabinet down. I know it seems like it was a huge job, but it was right at the top of the steps, and they brought it through the bathroom and set it down. It took them like 15 minutes. In retrospect, I didn't know they were coming at 10 o'clock in the morning. They were supposed to come between 1 and 4. So Linda and I were moving and cleaning, and I was distracted. So when they showed up at 10 o'clock in the morning, my brain wasn't wrapped around the IKEA guys. I should have and will in the future, if they deliver again, given them probably €10 a piece as a tip for bringing up the fridge and my little rolled up mattresses that I could put in my car. And then 10 to bring the cabinet down. So I'm in agreement. From what I understand, those guys make $20 an hour almost, which is really good. That's what somebody told me. I was under the impression that salaries in Italy weren't very high. So I was miscommunicated. I mean, I didn't understand that, and I was just being nice, and they were doing me a favor, and I wanted to give them, you know, €10 for just dragging that thing down, the two of them. Really, it only took like 10-15 minutes. It wasn't a long thing. And by the way, I bought everyone a bottle of wine. That even came to my rescue and helped me, and I really appreciated it. And I thanked them 100 times because everybody was so gracious and kind, and you know, I can't even say enough or thank them enough. And I look forward to coming back here. I do. Let's see, let's see, I'm going to take a moment here. Utilities. I don't know what my taxes are yet, but I was told they're about 1% a year of the purchase price. So they're a lot more than in Portugal. My electric bill, my breaker box was off, and I've been paying the electric bill for having the power on for, I think, like 6 months or something. I think it's like quarterly. So my electric bills a month are about €45 a month. And I'm sure it'll be a little bit more since I've been here using electric, but most of the time everything's off. Like there is no lights on. There's one light on in the bedroom. Gas, I don't have any here, but I am going to buy a gas stove, so I'm going to have a bottle. I don't know what the gas is. The water bill was €60 for the year, I believe. And then you have to pay trash, and I don't exactly know. That's like 3 times a year as well, so I'll be getting that bill. So it's not a lot. I mean, compared to the States, it really isn't a lot. And again, you can be conservative. In Italy, unless you get a very high electric bill, you keep everything off. And if you have windows, you just keep the shutters open, or you just put on a sweater. Because it's a second home for me, or a third home for me. I don't want hordes of bills when I'm not here. So actually, I'm having the electric shut off. It's like €22 to put it back on and €22 to shut it off. So I'm going to shut it off because I don't know when I'm going to return. But my neighbors, they all have keys just in case there's an emergency or something, which is great because everybody takes care of everybody's place. It's just magical here, and I appreciate that. I can't honestly tell you how the medical system is here. I don't know. All I could tell you is having a hospital, a pharmacy, and a medical place, you know, close by, and I do, like within 5 to 10 minutes. The airport is in Pescara, and that's about 30 minutes. The beach is about 30 minutes. You know, there isn't a lot missing here. It's really not very much different than where I live in the States in upstate New York. I would prefer to live in a smaller village or town rather than a sprawling metropolis. I don't want to be enveloped in a sprawling metropolis, but that's just my choice. And even if you're in a big city, you can't get to the hospital sometimes for 30 minutes. I know when I lived in Anchorage, it was like, just to get to the other side of town, it was like 30, 45 minutes. So 10 minutes, I could see it, 10 minutes is not very far. There's helicopter, emergency, I see ambulances everywhere, fire trucks everywhere, all the time, they're everywhere. So it's pretty set up, it's pretty secure, and it's on the grid. It's not like you're isolated in the middle of a mountain. You might be in the hills, but you know, there's a lot of older people here, families, children, schools. It all has to be serviced. And you know, you've got buses. There's beautiful buses that come here 2 or 3 times a day that go to different places like Pescara or Chieti. And the bus brings the kids in from the outskirts of town, you know, the ones that don't live in town. Yeah, it's really connected. I haven't used the bus, I haven't used the train, but it's pretty close. You can take the bus to a train station someplace probably within 15-20 minutes and get to Rome in like 2 hours. You know, Florence maybe I think it's like 3 hours. I'm not real sure. It's really easy to get around here. You don't have to have a car if you don't want to. You know, and part of it is being satisfied with your choices and being comfortable with yourself and having that list. I'm telling you, you got to write the list. You got to know what you want, because it's hard enough to know what you want in your own life, in your own country. But when you go to another country, it's simply imperative that you have that list and your priorities. And mine were many, many, many. And actually, they never stop. I keep adjusting. I go, you know what? Before I buy something in Guadiagrili, I'm going to go look at this town, and I want to go look over here, and I want to go look over here. And I keep shifting my priorities. And I think to myself, what happens when I get older? I'm 62. What happens when I get older and I don't want to deal with the hills to go for a walk? You know, where do I want to be? And today was part of that. You know, do I want to go closer to the beach? Do I want to get more on the flats? Hills and vineyards instead of mountains, and instead of towns on top of mountains. So I don't know, there all seem to be hill towns all over here, but it's just extraordinary and magical. And the question that everybody's been asking me, how much did you pay for your little flat? Well, it was listed for 25,000 euro, which right now is probably about $26,000. And the closing costs cost me about $7,000. Euro was 60 some hundred. So all in, it cost me 32,000, I think, all in. So the flat, it really was 25,000 euro, and it's on the top floor. So I do have to walk up 2 floors because I go to the ground floor, and then there's 2 levels, and then there's me. And I don't mind doing that. When I have a full cartload of stuff, which isn't like normal, shouldn't be normal on a daily basis, I got to carry all that stuff up from the car. I do not have a garage, but there's always a parking space. And right at this point, I can park right in front of the door. There's whole parking everywhere. And this is not like a big metropolitan city. So there's always a parking space. So that's pretty much it. And the reason that they were high is there are caps on taxes and there are caps on fees. So if I would have probably spent 50 or 100,000, I think my closing costs would have been very similar because of the caps. And it doesn't matter whether you spend 25 or 75. That's my understanding. If I'm incorrect, please correct me. That is what I was told. Because I'm like, why are the fees so high? Because it's going to be this much whether you pay 25 or 55 or 75. I'm like, oh, okay. So it didn't matter to me because my list was I wanted to be on one level, and it is except for the bathroom. I wanted something small so I could close it up. I wanted something small so I could remove the ceiling and not spend 100,000 euro to renovate this little place. I wanted something with good floors, something with views, even though some people think it's a view of the parking lot. I don't care because people in the town, they walk, they meet, they chat. I like listening to that. Plus, you know, I can see it's not an intersection where people are coming. It's not like a freeway. There's infrequent cars that even drive through this road. It just basically goes down the back road. It's just for local people, so it's not very busy. Aside from something more expensive, you know, I can't really answer a lot of the questions that I'm asked because everybody's situation is different. So I hope this Q&A helped. I tried to get to as many of the questions I wrote down, but there's always going to be questions. So in the future, I will do another Q&A. It's going to be a very busy several months, selling my properties, selling my belongings, deciding what I'm going to pack up and ship or actually take with me on the plane. It's going to be a process. And after this Q&A, I am going to do a tour of my flat to what I've done, what degree I've done, and what I've done up to this point. I have not done anything structurally, and I don't plan on doing anything until I return. And I did not buy the 2 levels below me because there's not really much there. The 2 rooms underneath my floor are only half the size of this because there is another apartment behind. So they were very small rooms. And the space downstairs was an apartment that needs so much work, and it's so small that I wasn't interested. And then the room on the other side of the entryway is shared by another family. So it's just a storage. So I would have to acquire that, and then I would have to do a lot of renovation. And then both floors would be split by the stairwell, so I couldn't really make 2 apartments out of them. So it's not going to work for me, and I'm not even going to bother. I'll just do what I need to do in this space and be happy with that and look elsewhere. And that's for the future because I don't know what I'm doing. All I could say is I love your questions. It makes me think. And when I talk about it, it makes me appreciate everything even that much more. In order to move to another country from the US, you really have to be conservative. Otherwise, you have to have a lot of money. Because if you're going to live with all of the trappings that we have in the US and all the comforts and all the lights on and all the heat and all the air and all that stuff, you're going to have a boatload of money to pay the bills. So if you're not one to adapt and be conservative and be happy with that, you need to either live in a luxury resort, have a lot of money to afford yourself all those, luxury things, or else just be conservative and be happy with the lifestyle. You can't come here and complain. You can't come here and say it's not like US. The rooms are too small, the kitchen's too small, the bathroom's too small. I don't like the color. I don't like the floor. I don't get, it's too many steps. It's like, coming here and doing that is unproductive. It's not a way to live. So you have to think about all those things. Everybody has to think about their own priorities and what they're willing to compromise on, because I think the magic word is compromise. In any country you're going to, from the UK or the US, or maybe even Australia or New Zealand, where you have all the conveniences in every part of your life. So, and like I said 100 times, the list, researching, knowing your own values and knowing your own wants and needs, and putting the needs ahead of the wants and seeing, is that really that important? So it's pretty magical. Life is pretty magical if you let it be. And expectations. That's why I don't prepare a lot of times. Like today, I had no idea where I was going. If I sat and researched every little nth degree, every little detail, I'd be disappointed all the time. So I just kind of generally get an idea of what I'm doing, and then I just go do it. And it's always a surprise. I'm always amazed. I'm never disappointed. And that's another thing. So compromise and have very little expectations. And for some, it might not work. And for some, it might be too simplistic or unprepared, or however you want to look at it. It works for me. And this is my life. And I'm so glad you're here. And those that are having a great time, let's just keep going, because it's way too fun.